Hi there, I'm Ahsan Ali Shaw, and you're watching me on Facebook. You're watching me live on YouTube and Facebook Live, and also in the group Love Virus. Today we are going to talk about a very important and serious issue, a daily life issue, discrimination. It is something that we all see and observe in our daily lives. Not most of us, if the ones who are being discriminated, they feel it. On the other hand, those who are doing it, they don't. But uh, our topic is what is discrimination, its types, impact, and how to cope with it. The discrimination. Discrimination is the unfair, unequal, biased, or prejudiced treatment of a certain group of the people based on their ethnicity, race, background, age, gender, sexual orientation, or something else. And this is discrimination. It may seem very easy and simple by definition, but in reality, issues rise up. According to a study conducted by some university, that the stress level is higher among the people who are being discriminated, and the stress level causes heart attacks, higher blood pressure, and other diseases, very serious diseases. This is how discriminating is impacting us in our body and soul. Personally, I have been discriminated twice in my life, and it was a very bad experience. First, it happened in 2015 after finishing my MBA when I in the entered in the job market. I was discriminated based on because I didn't have the rich family background. Even though I was qualified, I had the degree, I had everything, the knowledge and expertise skills. But the reason I was discriminated is because I didn't have the rich family background. And this was my first experience. And the second, when I went to Dubai, I was discriminated the other way. I was discriminated based on my ethnicity, my Asian, Indian, Pakistani, Asian background. And the job market was they were preferring people with the Western and Arab nationalities. And that was the second experience. In the job market, speaking of the job market, discrimination is very common thing in the job market, in the employment industry. Usually women, people of color, and different ethnicities, different backgrounds, they are discriminated based on their background. And today we are going to talk about discrimination. What is discrimination, its types, its impact, and how to cope with it. And we are going to have a roundtable discussion. My first guest is Jackie McGrath. She has joined us from Queensland, Victoria, Australia. And my second guest is Gary Murk. He is a phytoaromacologist. He has joined us from Alberta, Canada. And our my third guest is going to join us soon. She is and here. Hi, Jackie.
Hello, Ahsan. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm very well. It's lovely to be here again. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. And where's Gary? Where is Gary?
I'm here. There I am.
Okay. And how are you doing? How's the weather in your part of the world?
It's actually very, very nice at this part of the world right
Mm-hmm,
now. I mean, the
mm-hmm,
spring is starting. Okay,
mm-hmm,
the weather's a
mm-hmm,
little bit warmer. People are out on
mm-hmm,
the streets
mm-hmm,
trying to integrate or
mm-hmm,
trying not to integrate. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going
mm-hmm,
on, all
mm-hmm.
over the
Mm.
world. I guess it's
Okay.
not just my backyard.
Uh, okay. Luckily, our third guest has joined us,
Ah,
and
here
Yay!
we
there
go.
she is.
There she
There she is.
is. Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi,
Holly.
Holly.
How? Uh,
Hi.
can you flip your camera? can you flip your camera
Can you flip
so
your camera
you're
to
on screen?
landscape, Holly?
Maybe.
Oh, there we
Okay.
go. I think she rolled off the desk.
Okay. No, still no.
Yeah, you're
Can
still in
you
portrait.
uh, can you flip the
Are you on your
still
phone,
on
Holly, or are
portrait?
you on a cam on the computer?
I'm on my phone.
Okay, so you should be able
Okay.
to rotate it, and then it'll take you
Mhm.
into landscape mode.
Okay, hold on.
It should.
Okay. And we have got a comments from Linda. Hi, Linda. It's lovely to see you here. And Will Love Earth. And hi, hey, Will. Greetings, beautiful beings. Thank you. Yes, lovely to see you here. And
Good.
yes, yeah,
That's it,
it's
Holly.
perfect.
Now I
There we
can.
Yeah,
go, Holly.
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Good.
Wow. Goodness.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
yes.
I'm not laughing at you,
Okay.
Holly. I'm laughing at the technology. It's a technology
All
thing.
right, I need a phone holder, y'all.
The telephone's actually being discriminatory to you. That's what it's doing.
Oh,
Right on
yes.
time, right?
So, yes. Speaking of, okay, discrimination, our topic for discussion today is discrimination.
Yep.
If you guys have just joined me, leave it in the comment box. What are your views? What are your experiences? And how discrimination is impacting our society. And speaking of impact, different governments across the world, across different societies, the lawmakers and everything, they claim that their people they treat the people fairly, but majority of the people think that they are their treatment towards and they treat other people fairly and equal, but it doesn't happen. We have seen and we have observed and many people have experienced. We have a lot of complaints about discrimination, and it is also very common in among women. Women are being discriminated
Mm.
based in the job market and also in the job market, also on the basis of being in the society as only for being a woman. And I'm gonna start our live. I'm gonna start our uh, table talk uh, with with Holly. Hi, Holly.
Hi, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The way I look at discrimination, and I actually made a
Mm-hmm.
post the other day when you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned this to me, just to see the take from everybody, like ask them to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Like, what's the first thing that you think when you hear the word discrimination? And
Mm-hmm.
the answers were pretty interesting, and they
Mm-hmm.
ranged. It's I don't have my access to my phone to read them off to you or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of it had to do with the engineered discrimination
Mm-hmm.
due to the engineered, legal
Yes.
deception that we live in. And
Mm.
I personally believe that's what it's all connected to, because that's what's created it.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting, Holly. Holly has mentioned a very good point that discrimination is a learned phenomena. It is taught. It doesn't happen by birth. And we were talking the other day. Gary mentioned a very good story about two little boys, and one was black and one was white, and they were talking. They didn't know about the color differences. They were just playing, and the father came in and stepped in, and he told his wife that the kid you are playing with is a dirty one. He is not good, and that's how we teach our children. And I was also reading a study yesterday that discrimination is based on misunderstanding. It's caused by misunderstanding,
Yeah.
and that's how the misunderstanding uh, messed up everything. Now I'm gonna move to Jackie. Jackie, your views on what about in Australia? Speaking of Australia, we are having a roundtable discussion, and all of my we four people are from different parts of the world. I'm from Pakistan, Asia, and Jackie is from Australia, and Holly is from the US, and Gary is from Canada. And now, Jackie.
Discrimination, I think it's everywhere, and it is,
Mhm,
like you said, it's a learned behaviour. It's quite
mhm,
normal as
mhm,
humans to put
mhm,
things in categories. That's how we kind of
mhm,
discern things. But
mhm,
it's when you start putting value or your own beliefs on those categories that things start
mhm,
becoming not so nice. And it's fear and misunderstanding. It's your environment. It's all those kinds of things that influence these different categories that you like. And I hate labels on everything, but I know it is our our brain does that. We
mhm,
put things
mhm,
in blocks. But when you start labeling things and
mhm,
discriminating against people or treating them
mhm,
unfairly because of personal characteristics or beliefs,
mhm,
that's where it all
mhm,
gets askew. And I mean, as
mhm,
Holly was saying, like this
mhm,
big thing that's happening in our world at the moment is hugely discriminatory in so many ways. It's
Mm.
unbelievable.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
somehow the governments are getting away with this.
mhm,
And yeah, just even to the point of, people, because I don't wear a mask like Gary doesn't.
mhm,
And
mhm,
it's not too bad on the Gold Coast where I live. It's
mhm,
really pretty good actually, because it's a very relaxed lifestyle near the beach
mhm,
and things like that. And but there, I'm seeing a lot more fear. There's been a lockdown in Brisbane, so
mhm,
and that's kind of filtered down to where I live. But
mhm,
I haven't been asked yet, why are you not wearing a mask? And I find it really sad that little kids are, even by themselves. I've seen them, kids walking home from school with a
mhm,
mask on by themselves,
mhm,
like,
mhm,
because they've got this fear put on them and these rules and restrictions, and they don't feel able to, maybe just quite not strong enough in their characters
Mm.
yet to stand up for themselves, so that's taken advantage of.
mhm,
And to me, that's all of this is discrimination. No jab, no
mhm,
play, no hat, no play. It started from that. We're
mhm,
conditioned. Like even the kids
mhm.
in school, you can't go outside and play if you haven't got a hat on. To protect
Yeah,
yourself
Jackie,
against the sun, for heaven's sake.
Mm.
Jackie, I think we are shifting away from the topic about discrimination
Oh,
and
okay.
masking. I think we are, yes. And Jackie mentioned a very good, interesting thing in the beginning, that labeling. I think labeling help us in both ways, in the positive and the negative way. In the
Yeah.
positive sense, we make sense of the world through labels. We don't have to analyze everything every day. On the other hand, when you label something in the negative sense, then it opens up the Pandora box.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Bigger than a Pandora's box. It actually
Yes,
opens
indeed.
up, a nuclear bomb in many ways.
Mhm, mhm,
When we look at discrimination,
mhm,
it's in everything, whether it's
mhm,
color and creed, or whether it's
mhm,
wear a mask or not wear a mask. We're being
mhm,
discriminated against. In fact, even here, if you don't wear a mask, people are discriminating and pointing you and blaming you and saying that you're going to, be part of the problem. You're part of all of it. So there's
mhm,
discrimination in almost everything. Everything has a label
mhm,
put onto it. We've put a label
mhm,
upon those from South Africa. We put a label from those on from Pakistan. We put a label from all of the people. When, in all
mhm,
due respect, close your eyes. There is no
mhm,
discrimination you can't see if you haven't been programmed.
Mm.
I
mhm,
grew up in southern Alberta. And in
mhm,
southern Alberta, believe me, it's redneck. It's
mhm,
very discrimination. It's very
mhm,
backwoods. It's
mhm,
It's like against, whether it's the First Nations peoples, whether it's against the Chinese people, it always was there. But I grew up in amongst this, not only with discrimination being shown from others, but also discrimination to me as a white person. Okay, discrimination by others that didn't accept my intelligence or my vulnerability or my sensitivity. Even in Canada, going from one province to another, the discrimination exists between the French and the English. And I took that firsthand. I went and lived there for 30 years, and believe me, wow, love the food, love the architecture, but the politics and the peoples, no. This discrimination has existed for a very, very, very long time. We have been programmed to look at others that are different, to say that, you know what, I'm better than you, I'm superior. Okay, even within our own color, the discrimination exists. If my belief is different than my father, there's discrimination. If my belief was different than my neighbor's, there's discrimination. So if I believed in, Catholicism as an example, and the other one believed in Lutheran Church, there's a discrimination between the two religions. And this is what a big part of our world problem is that we've allowed this separation of peoples to install itself. This sandbox syndrome, as we talked about last live, where father points out the different color, the different language, to the point where all of a sudden you're all by yourself. And now,
Yes.
where do you reach? The ones that you discriminated against wanted to be your friend, but now they don't want to be your friend because of something that you have maybe said or the way that you reacted. Also between men and women. We've got it between genders and the uprise and the multitudes of directions that the gender identification is going when we're born as a male or female. The rest of it, well, that's Pandora's box. And then everybody's going to have a different perspective on this. But the aspect of judgment, of opinionation that is discriminatory is where it's wrong. And this is what many of us are starting to see. You can hold up the protest sign and say, all Black lives matter. You can hold up the protest sign and say, all white lives matter. But who's holding up the sign that says all lives matter? And I'm not talking about humans. I'm talking about all life. Aves,
All
mammals,
life only.
animals, earth, you, me, children, aliens,
Yeah, the Mother
all life.
Nature is itself. In Mother Nature
And
is also a living life. Is also a living being.
that's the biggest discriminate. And in all due respect, and I'm going to step out of the box in many ways here. The one life that we are the most discriminatory towards is Gaia, is this earth. Open. You drive around your cities. How much garbage is strewn everywhere? Is that not discrimination? You're throwing your
Yes.
personal garbage onto a living entity.
Gary, I would like to add that we consider nature as a resource. We don't consider nature as a part of being, as a part of our life. We don't consider nature as that we are depending upon the nature. Nature doesn't need us. We need the mother nature. And
Take
now I'm
Gaia
gonna move
away.
to yes. Now I'm gonna move to Holly. Holly, what do you think about the role of judgment and opinions? Does judgment cause discrimination?
You broke up the very last part of what you said. I'm sorry.
Is judgment or does judgment cause discrimination?
Absolutely. It's, one and the same. Absolutely. And it's engineered to be this way. They got the blueprints to be doing this. And Gary hit it right on the head when he said nature, because that's exactly what we're up against. It's a engineered discrimination, destruction of all that is natural. And why would that be? Why would we be discriminating against natural healing, natural life, nature? Why?
Freedom,
Yes.
freedom of choice, freedom of breath, freedom of living. We can't.
Those running the show are clearly with evidences that, I've just personally found the last going on 4 years, it's all about artificial. It's all about no gender. It's all about everything artificial, from AI to eyelashes to everything. Our medicines, our everything. They've been dumping chemtrails on us forever. Forever. I mean, there's just literally nothing untouched. Nothing. And like that's our whole mission should be, it does look like discrimination person to person, because that's how it's created to look. But it is an overall engineered, deception that has created
Yes, indeed.
this.
Yes, indeed.
Definitely
Now
agree with you on that.
uh, I'm gonna move to Jackie. Jackie, what do you think about the role of discrimination in Australia? How is Australia a discriminate? Is also discrimination exist in Australia? I watched some of the videos that some of the Asian peoples are discriminated, and I watched some that people were using some abusive language towards them and that sort of things.
Yeah, that happens a lot. And it's not just
Mhm,
Asians. Like when I lived down in Melbourne, which is when I was growing up, it's quite multicultural. But when I was
mhm,
growing up, it was mainly, the Italians and Greeks. And, they would get called all sorts of things.
mhm,
And mainly it's because, for me, that they were really
mhm,
hardworking. And sometimes that
mhm,
shows stuff up in other people,
mhm,
and so they don't like it, or they're always called names, and just the language, a little bit of language
mhm,
difference. Yeah, there's
mhm,
discrimination. I think as
mhm,
Holly and Gary said, and yourself, it's absolutely everywhere.
mhm,
Like there's no getting away from it because we're
mhm,
we're being conditioned to move away from our natural
mhm,
state. And
mhm,
our natural state of being, which is compassion and love and joy, and
mhm,
we're just being taken away from that, and so many
mhm,
differences are brought up, and it's purposeful,
mhm,
like Holly was saying. It's
mhm,
all to a purpose to
mhm,
get to their
mhm,
to a means to their end, and you have to
mhm,
remember too, like all the indigenous cultures, which are so important to us and have all that connection with the earth. There
mhm,
was just genocide of those, like over history. Like all our indigenous
mhm,
cultures have been just terrible things happen to them, of course, as we all know.
mhm,
And it's all just to take us away from knowing those ancient wisdoms that are so
mhm,
important to us in connection with the land and each other, and treating each other fairly. And how boring would it be if we all thought the same, had the same beliefs, had the
mhm,
same culture, had this, this is what makes us learn and grow. But
mhm,
instead we have this attitude, and it's from all our education, our parents and everything like that. Like you were saying, it's their
mhm,
influences which change us. As children, we don't have that. It's our
mhm,
learned behaviour from that, from our environment and everything around us,
mhm,
that instills all those. And discrimination is from fear. Most of it is from fear, not just misunderstanding. It's just being
mhm,
fearful again. You know,
mhm.
Hmm.
Yes, indeed.
but
Now I'm
it's
gonna move
everywhere.
to Gary. Yes, indeed, it is everywhere. Gary, don't you think that we all are moving in the circle? It starts with the gender superiority, that men think that they are superior uh, to, to the women, that they are taught that the men are superior, and then there's another discrimination comes in. Then it seems like we are moving in back and forth from gender superiority to towards discrimination. Then it causes stress level. Stress level causes heart patient, heart disease, and high blood pressure and other things. Don't you think that we are moving in circle?
I think we're moving backwards, to be honest with you. If we look at everybody's looking, we're talking about ascension. So, like ascending to a higher dimension, ascending to a higher consciousness, a higher understanding, but we're still carrying and bringing discrimination with us. We're pointing and saying to, well, you can't ascend because of this, you can't ascend because of color, you can't ascend because of all of this. We're not advancing by any means. We're still spinning in the same. I'm trying to keep my words polite. I just want to like wham, throw it out. Okay, the whole thing is that we have been programmed, and as Holly had said, it was that it's been engineered to do this, to take us away from the natural flow and the natural connectivity of life. Before technology had set in, we were living in forests. We were living in small groups. We were wanderers. We were nomads. We were crossing the lands and building in forests and feeding off of the land and supporting each other and looking after our elders. And now, for the most part today, we take the elders, throw them in an old folks' home, throw our kids out, say, here, go live on your own. And then what are we doing? This part of to understand is that without love, without the initialization of the truth of love, not the love of owning, not the love that says this is my land and that's your land, that's not it. Love starts from, where am I? Here I am. My feet are on this earth. I have access to air. I have access to water. I have access to food, which is a God-given right. But in the world powers, they're trying to take that away from us. What? They're going to put water on the stock market and they're going to put an IPO onto it. And now water is going to be a stock exchange. There's a
Just
lot of
like I
things
think,
that.
Gary, I think you said a very interesting thing, and you're right. It is happening right now, just like the water companies, Nestle,
Yeah,
and other water
look at. Oh my
manufacturers.
God.
Mhm, mhm,
Okay. I got the tiger in me. Okay. Look,
mhm,
let you touch something. Let's just take one of that companies. Let's
mhm,
take
mhm,
Coca-Cola. What
mhm,
Coca-Cola has done to Pakistan, what
mhm,
Coca-Cola has done to your
mhm,
part of the world and the water
mhm,
tables, and taking
mhm,
that water away from
mhm,
your access to water has
mhm,
forced your part of the world to try and tap into
mhm,
these water lines. Why
mhm,
why does a corporation have even the capacity or
mhm,
allowed the capacity to discriminate? And in fact, it's discriminatory. Who cares about the
mhm,
peoples? I want the water.
mhm.
I want the
Because,
water so I can create a poison, make you sick. And guess what? Well,
mhm,
we're going to win because now we got mass
mhm,
genocide going on, because we'll keep you
mhm,
sick, put you on pills, get you into the
mhm,
pharmaceutical, get you into the governments. And the
mhm,
government's going to say, well, you know what? The vaccination, you're too old for this vaccination. Guess what? You can have that one because we're not really concerned about your age. We're, you know, it's a total. I use a word. It's called
mhm,
mind fuckery. Okay, we are
mhm,
being so screwed up in the mind
mhm,
that
mhm,
we don't know where to look, what to
mhm,
do, what to ask. If I open a door
mhm,
for a lady, I'm afraid that I'm going to get maybe hit because I'm being called a male chauvinist pig or some other thing
mhm,
that comes out, because we've been separated, pulled apart.
mhm,
We're blaming the man and saying it's a toxic masculinity. We're saying that it's a toxic man's world when it's a toxic human world. We all
mhm,
have allowed it to get to where it is. We
mhm,
look, as a child, we all know you play in a sandbox. Do you see color?
mhm,
You
mhm,
take dirt, you put it in your mouth. Joey puts dirt in his mouth. You walk on the
mhm,
same dirt. Okay,
mhm,
there's no discrimination, there's no judgment. And then the program sets in, then the
mhm,
manipulation sets in, and the next thing you
mhm,
know, we're not looking at a human, we're looking at a style. what are you wearing, what color you are, what perfume you're wearing. It's like, are you in style, are you not in style? All of this ends up being part of discrimination. And then between men and women, it is here's the goddess movement, here's the toxic masculinity. Men, we don't know how to address our emotion sides, our vulnerabilities, because that's been stripped away from us. We've been told that you got to be strong, you got to be the warrior, you got to be the provider, you got to be the heavy duty worker, you got to take the garbage out, and on and on and on and on and on. Okay? Where that's not what it is in a true community. In a true
Yes, indeed,
community,
Gary.
as a couple or as multiples, it's acceptance of all, not based upon color, creed, gender, language. Oh, what a Pandora's
Yes,
box this one
now,
is.
Holly, do you think that we are moving backwards?
Personally, I feel like I'm moving forward for the first time in
Mm-hmm.
my entire life since
Mm-hmm.
being
No,
aware of.
no, Holly, I mean, as a human being, our society, our country, the whole world, are we moving forward or backwards? Because we are seeing that people are raising their voice. People are admitting the fact that there was a problem earlier that people don't used to admit that discrimination happens. Now people are realizing that discrimination is real and is a real life phenomenon, and it is happening. And do you think we are moving forward or backward?
Do you know how everybody always repeats, there's nothing new under the
Mhm,
sun? There's nothing new
mhm,
under the sun. Have you all heard that
mhm,
lately? I've
Yeah.
heard it a lot.
mhm, mhm,
And it really was on me when I kept hearing that. And it's like, because I've been,
mhm,
researching the transhumanism, the total digital control that,
mhm,
that's the agenda coming for us. So is that new under the sun? Have we been doing
mhm,
that yet? So I think we're being forcibly pushed forward to
mhm,
what they want,
Yep.
being the system, being whoever started this way, way, way back when. And it's
mhm,
just always, the evil has always been sorely outweighing, but they had to
mhm,
hide and lie in order to be able to achieve it. Because you can't come out
mhm,
and be honest about what you're really doing to people. You wouldn't
mhm,
succeed. They have to
mhm,
hide and lie.
Yeah.
So
mhm,
that's where we have to everybody go, yes, that's what's going on. And now we have to work on the solution because
mhm,
all the distractions, all these engineered distractions, all this stuff we're talking about, the skin color, the religions, the
mhm,
Bibles, the everything, the where you live, the
mhm,
what you think, that's what's keeping it going. As we're all distracted, they're
mhm,
coming along. Okay, come get your passports now. Jappy jappy.
mhm,
Okay.
No.
mhm,
Did you
We
get the
have
jab?
to start saying no. We got to get to a point where we're all screaming no at the top of our lungs.
mhm,
Or we
mhm,
ain't going to have to worry about if we're moving forward or backwards because we're going to be, well, I think we all know what we're going to be.
Yeah.
mhm.
What
Now
one of the things.
I'm gonna move to Jackie. Jackie, it's a very interesting comment here. It actually is from Canada, but what about in Australia? Is job market discriminatory in Australia?
Uh, I don't know if it is too much now.
Mhm,
Obviously, you've still got, because of time, you've still got those
mhm,
jobs which are certainly more females, nursing, childcare, all those kind of nurturing jobs, which, to be
mhm,
honest, I don't know, maybe women are more suitable for those sorts of roles
mhm,
anyway, but still you
mhm,
don't get teachers, maybe
mhm,
not so much teachers anymore, but there's always that. But the discrimination, I think sometimes
mhm,
I have a few issues with this a little bit because,
mhm,
when they're trying to match up, when they say, oh, now we've got to
mhm,
balance it, there's too many
mhm,
men in this job, so we've got to balance it with
mhm,
females and just push for females. To me, that's a little bit discriminatory in itself. Just give people,
mhm,
whoever's best for the job, give it to that person,
mhm,
right? And
mhm,
I get what they're trying to do in bringing about balance, but It's just bring it about through whoever's best for the job. But discrimination in the workplace, yeah, definitely. I think we were talking about it last time. Is that they've allowed women into the armed forces and things like that, but still women are still, even within those roles, discriminated terribly by the men in there, because maybe they're not used to having women there, and just the whole sexuality aspect of it, and being threatened because a woman might be moving higher up than them, threatens whatever's not so good in themselves. So there's still that discrimination going on, and it can be horrific. Like the stories that have come out with women in the armed forces is terrible. The rape, the bullying, it's horrendous. So until each of us learn about ourselves and know where we're coming from, and get some strength and respect within ourselves, I don't know that this is going to change. And like Holly was saying, like it's everything that's happened in the past, however long, has been to separate us, and separate us from ourselves too, our true self. So separating from ourselves, separating from everybody else, and I think minority groups too have to be a little bit careful. I've seen it here a little bit, whereas expect equality. Everyone expects equality, okay, but not to be better than because you have been discriminated against. Because I've seen that a lot too, where these minority groups then expect so much more because they've been discriminated against. It's like bring them up to everybody else's level and have it like that. Otherwise, there's still discrimination in a way, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. Yes, it does. It does make sense. Now I'm going to move to Gary. Gary, what do you think about the movements of bringing people together, and people are raising their voice, and different organizations they are they are taking barriers. What do you think that? What do you think about the future? Are you optimistic about the future of the
I'm
human race?
I'm very optimistic about the future, because one thing, as I said last night in my live, was is that I believe in faith. And faith for me is the consciousness of a higher power. It's the acceptance of Christ consciousness. It's the acceptance of God consciousness. And in that realm, there is no color, there is no language, there is nothing other than the essence of love and working together and compassion and all of that that makes us a human from the inside. We have a heart. We've been taken away from heart. We've been taken away from freedom of spirit, of soul within us. However you believe, there's an energy on the inside of you that the elitists, that all of the upper powers, the ones that want control of the world to turn us into a bunch of robots and commodities, don't want us to reach to. So when I look at those that are in protest, you can protest peacefully in unity, or you can protest in anger and destruction. If you're protesting in anger and destruction and vulgarity and fighting and raising the voice, you're feeding the machine of the negative. You are not winning. No matter how high you're going to hold that sign, you are not winning. But if you're coming down to the aspect that you can face with love and compassion in your eyes everything about life, then yes, we can create a better world. If we
Yes,
look at
indeed.
this time of the year,
Yes.
very special. And just
Gary,
one
if
more thing. Okay. Just one thing I
okay.
want to say is that Easter is a very special time of the year all around the world. We acknowledge the rising of a special man. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about scriptures. I'm not even going to go into that. I'm going to go into the aspect of a man that walked this earth that showed us what love was, regardless of your color, your language, or your creed. Whether you were on the street begging for food, or whether you were the Roman shoving the spear into his rib cage, he still had compassion and love and unification and the belief that peoples were all together. It's possible. It's very possible. But it's not going to be done through war. It's not going to be done through anger. It's going to be done through love, peace, harmony, unification, walking together, accepting each other, regardless of your color, your shape, regardless of your place in the world. Do I believe it's possible? Yes. Do I believe it's going to arrive? I haven't got the answer at that. I really don't.
Yes, yes, indeed, Gary. Just look at us. We are talking from three, four of us. We are talking from different parts of the world, and we are raising this issue. Isn't
Yes.
this a very good example of we are moving forward?
Yes, it is. You know why? Because as light workers, as energy workers, as those with open eyes, we've opened our eyes broad. We're seeing something. We're not seeing something. We're starting to see the truths. We see the truths from our part of the world, from your part of the world, and we're coming together. We're bringing people together. I know in the Love Virus group where it was 6 months ago and where it is right now. I know where the requests are 6 months ago and where it is right now. Can I honestly say that I've made an impact for a better way? Yes, I can. Today I can say that I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I can say that through talking about what's raw and real and the vulnerabilities and the ability to stand up as a man, not because I'm a man, but no, stand up as a man and say, you know what? I could care less if I'm a man in this body. What I have is a heart, a soul, eyes that I can see that a fellow human being is a human being, that the earth is important, that the animals are important, that the forests are important. I see all of this. This is what
Yes,
I've
I
been
think.
talking about. This is what the Love Virus is about. This is about those that have joined in and heard me talk. You hear me talk about the passion of earth. If we don't fix what's going on with what we're doing to the earth, no matter if we want to, ascend or not, guess what? The earth is going to say to you, and she's going to change in a drastic way. And mark my words, in 4 years, if by 2025 we have not turned around and reverted our ways of destruction, we're not going to have an earth to put our feet upon. And that's from
Yes,
God.
indeed.
And that may
Yes,
stick me out
yes,
on a pedestal and shoot me, but
Gary, you're right. And now I think it is time to ask you this question: how can we cope with discrimination?
raise your hand and say no. Open your eyes and see the other for who they are, as a person, as a heart, as a soul, and understand that I'm going to say no to it. I say no to discrimination. I say no if I see another person belittling another person. I stand up and I say no. It may get me in conflict, but I also have the right to stand up and say, that's not right. And if I don't, who's going to do it? It'll just keep on happening. We play this ostrich, or you know what? I'll turn my head. I don't see it. What I don't know, don't tell me about it. It's not going to bother me. It's like, hey, I'm in my little world. Put my head in the sandbox, or put my head as an ostrich and bury my head. Okay? Open your eyes. That's what we have to do. Open our eyes. See a human as a human. See a woman as a woman that she is. Admire her. See the goddess that she is. See the gods that we are as men, but don't proclaim ourselves to be gods and goddesses. It's the aspect of looking at a human being, no matter the age, no matter the color, and smile. You know what? A smile takes 10 muscles. 10 muscles. That's all it takes.
Yes.
So why can't I smile? Why can you not smile to me? I don't wear a mask. I'm white, whatever the color. I've seen all sorts of discrimination. I've gone around the world. I've been to the Ukraine. I'm white. I speak English. They think I'm from the United States. Oh my God. Discrimination? You You have no idea. I had to have a bodyguard walk with me because
Yeah.
because of my language and
Mhm,
because of politics and country wars and all of this. There's places
mhm,
around the world that no matter if I'm the same color as you, they don't like me because I speak English.
mhm,
So
mhm.
discrimination exists beyond
It,
color.
mhm.
So it's time
Gary,
to
it is
say,
Gary, it is absolutely right. That part of the world I live in, yeah, English is not a very people learn it for for the sake of technology and learning purposes to make use of it as a skill, but they don't like it as a language. And now I'm gonna ask the question of how to deal with discrimination, Holly. How to deal with discrimination?
Luckily, I was raised in, to in love. I had loving grandmas and mom, and uh, was really
Mhm,
grateful for that. They taught me to love
mhm,
God and people,
mhm,
and it wasn't about religion and separation and
mhm,
division. It was just about
mhm,
love.
mhm,
And I had been through a lot in my life, just like everybody else.
mhm,
And I still chose love. I've always felt that
mhm,
naturally in me.
yeah,
And that is
mhm,
exactly what's discriminated against.
mhm,
It's the
mhm,
opposite. Have the haters that's engineered all
mhm,
this
yeah.
mhm,
because you're not
God
mhm,
forbid
allowed.
God forbid if a man hugs another man. It's like,
You're
mhm.
here,
not
come and
allowed
give
to
me a.
love.
It's like,
Yes.
all the
Yes.
pointing. Somebody just made a comment here, and I'd like
Mhm,
to address that because I think it's important to bring this up. Sydney had
mhm,
said that the more that we talk about discrimination, the more that discrimination keeps on happening. So, what's the
mhm,
solution? I think
mhm,
we need to talk about it, but it's how we're talking about it. Problem is, the way we're talking about it is we're taking the histories, amplifying what has happened on the history, taking it down
mhm,
to the streets, and still judging and discriminating and being bigots at the street level.
mhm, mhm,
Whether it's the cops on the policemen, whether it's the blacks and it doesn't matter. You ever
mhm,
walk the street of the Bronx in New York? I have. Oh my God.
mhm,
uh, we're like, where is the problem with discrimination? It's at the street level. It's where it's
mhm,
been programmed, where it's been separated, where we're running in
mhm,
gangs and running in amok, and
mhm,
it's one color and one race against another. It's the mafia against the yakuzuka. It's
mhm,
all of this. It's
mhm,
amplified to a point where how do you find a solution to it? Well, you know what? There is a solution. Talk about it, open your mouth, say something
mhm,
about it, but say it in a
mhm,
way that it's constructive. Say it in a way that it's creative. Say it in a way
mhm,
that it's innovative. Not saying,
mhm,
you know what, I'm because of my color, look at what you did to me. Look at what this stuff, it happens between colors of the same race. It happens
mhm.
between, different parts of the world. Discrimination is everywhere. It's
Yes.
there's
Yes.
discrimination if I'm rich and you're poor. I
Mhm,
worked in the finance world. Been in the business
mhm,
world. It's like I don't
mhm,
make the same kind of money. You look down on me like I'm an underling. I'm the same color
mhm,
as you. Guess what? As a human, every
mhm,
human that walks this earth, we either sit on the toilet and go to the washroom, or we squat
mhm,
outside and go to the washroom. One way or another, what we ingest and throw out is all the same, regardless of what
mhm,
color, what language I speak. I speak two languages, French and English, and I'm very proud to be
mhm,
able to speak two languages. But even
mhm,
speaking French in the province of Quebec, I was discriminated against. Believe
mhm,
me, very badly, even to
mhm,
relatives, because I was
mhm.
English. So, how do we correct it? You know what? We have to talk about it.
Yes, we
Seriously,
have to
have to
talk.
talk about it. We
Yes,
can't
indeed,
just.
we have to talk. Yes, indeed, Gary, we have to talk about it. And we have discussed a very important discussion, and we have started our discussion from discrimination, the definition of it,
Yep.
unfair, biased, prejudiced, or unequal treatment of a certain group of people based on their ethnicity, background, religious, sexual orientation, gender, or age, or it could be something else. Yeah, this is what the definition of discrimination is. And in real life, people are discriminated all over the world. And then we discussed that bias, judgment, and opinionation is the main cause of it. Then we discussed that we are discriminating the Mother Nature. Mother Nature is a living being, and we should treat everyone fair. And the
Yeah.
final thought that this discussing about discrimination is not causing the problem. It is actually the solution, that we are realizing the fact that discrimination is real. It is happening to some of the people who are they cannot of course they are in minority. They are a very few people who are being discriminated in some part of the world where English are in majority. The minorities uh, uh, are being discriminated in my part of the world, where Asians are in majority, and the foreigners and anyone who is the minority is being discriminated. It is happening everywhere.
It's even
The
happening in the
majority,
homes, Hassan. It's happening
yes,
in families where the
mhm,
father and the mother are
mhm,
discriminating on their child, punishing their
mhm,
child because they're not up to what they expect them to be.
mhm,
You know, it's discrimination is widespread.
mhm,
We take
mhm,
this subject and we can open it up in a million different ways. If you walk on the
mhm.
street and
Now,
look at a bug and step
mhm,
on it, you know what?
mhm,
You're discriminating against that bug. I'm
mhm,
sorry to say it, but if you go ick at that spider in your room and kill it, you are
mhm.
discriminating against another life.
Yes,
That's how
and
widespread it
now,
is.
now the final message. What and now I'm gonna ask every one of you your final thoughts. Now, Jackie, your final thoughts.
I just think we need to be an example. Like if we're a role
Mhm,
model in ourselves and go out and just embrace everyone, have a chat. If you're not sure about somebody's, beliefs or their strong beliefs about things, ask
mhm,
questions and try to
Yeah.
come to some understanding of it. Put
mhm,
yourselves in their shoes, just and become strong within yourself and who you are
mhm,
and who you want to be and what you want the world to be, and
mhm,
and go from there. Like especially for
mhm,
your kids, be a true
mhm,
example. My father was an
mhm,
amazing role model
mhm,
for me. Never
Mm.
discriminated against
mhm,
anyone.
mhm,
Chatted to everybody. So I
mhm,
grew up with that. So
mhm.
that's my suggestion.
Yes, indeed. And now, Holly, your final thoughts.
I totally agree with her about being the example. And
Mhm,
I've been shown that. I mean, I already knew
mhm,
that, but not to the
mhm,
extent that I do now, seeing and learning
mhm,
everything that I was always unaware of, you know,
mhm,
until
Mm.
2017.
mhm,
And it does make an impact, but you have to truly see the urgency and
mhm,
how huge the urgency is. Like Gary was saying,
mhm,
we're not going to have to worry about it because it is that bad. Nobody wants to believe it. Nobody wants to hear it. My gosh, if you try to talk
mhm,
to them, you're crazy. You need your meds. You're
mhm,
talking to strangers. You need to unplug. No, I think we all need to plug in more. That's how
mhm,
urgent it is.
mhm,
And we do need to get educated. We need to be open minded, be willing to listen. You
Yeah.
know,
mhm,
if somebody just needs to call me and cry for 2 hours, that's what I allow them to do,
mhm,
because that's what's engineered against us, is not having that kind of stuff, the love, because it is frowned
mhm,
upon. And
mhm,
everything does need fixed. I'm
Hmm.
sorry to be the one to break it to you, but it's
mhm,
literally everything. And we could go
mhm,
on about that forever.
Yeah,
But
don't get
yeah,
me started on toilet paper.
mhm,
everybody just be
mhm,
open minded. That's what our
mhm,
message should be. Truly try to be
mhm,
genuinely kind and
mhm,
teaching, and I mean, just whatever your passion is, whatever your, brand yourself with your own talents and your own, ideas.
Yeah.
Don't think you can't. That was the worst message we were ever taught, was that we were minuscule. We are so beyond
Oh.
minuscule. We are all powerful. And when we start
Mhm.
learning this and we see it and we see the examples, people are
Mhm.
encouraged to change. And
Mhm.
I don't know all of what change I have brought in the time I've been doing it and been aware, but I do get some feedback and it feels very empowering. You know that no matter what your capabilities or capacities are, if you are
Mhm.
willing and you want to plug in and you want to help, truly help, not pretend like you're helping to harm more, because there's lots of
Mhm.
that, but
Mhm.
truly be genuine to make change, it will come. And it's hard on us. Sometimes we want to give up and say we're tired. We just want to lay down and quit. But I see clearly we can't quit. This is our home.
Mm-hmm.
This entire land is our home. If somebody come to attack your physical square home that you live in, what would you do? Would you just let them do it? Be like, okay, cool. No, you
Yes.
wouldn't.
No.
You would
Yes,
you would
indeed.
stand
Yeah.
to defend it, and that's what we have to do right now.
Yes. Now, Gary, your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Wow.
Mhm.
You know what? The only thing that I can come to in conclusion at this
Mhm.
and in the short period of time that we've spoken about it
Mhm.
is that there's a lot of work to do. We
Mhm.
have to, as Holly said, is that we have to come into it.
Mhm.
Everybody's talking about the ascension and I'm going to get to a better place, or the aliens are going to come and take me and it's going to magically change everything.
Mhm.
No, it's not. What's going to change everything is we, the humans, that understand that we are and have a purpose to ourselves
Mhm.
and in life. We are
Mhm.
curators. We have been given the God-given gift to
Mhm.
create, not
Mhm.
destroy. We have been given a gift to love. We have
Mhm.
been given a gift to innovate. So when are we going to start loving, innovating, and being creative? That's what we need to do. You want to come to the basics? Everything that I've
Mhm.
learned, everything that I know about Gaia has come from a multitude of
Mhm.
shamanic people, of First Nations people, of people
Mhm.
around the world that I haven't met, that I've talked to, that have taught me something of the old
Mhm.
world, of the medicines of this world, of Gaia.
Beautiful people.
So,
Mhm.
in regards to, at the end of it, connect to Gaia, understand
Yes.
her, and see the purpose that we have as humans, not as trying to own something that we don't own. My two
Yes,
cents.
indeed. Yes, yes, indeed, Gary. And now my final message is the message of love and peace and treating everyone equally and fairly and connecting with nature, connecting with ourselves.
Yeah.
We are the solution and we have to accept the fact that no one is going to come and change us. We have to change ourselves. We have to change our behaviors. We have to take the first step. No
Yeah.
one is going to change us. We are the solutions and we have to accept that. And thank you guys, thank you Gary, thank you
Well
Holly,
said,
and
Ahsan.
thank you Jackie, and thank you Jackie for joining us, and thank you all the beautiful comments, Linda, Jamie, Kellen, Moon, and other people, yeah, Sydney most importantly, and all of the people for your beautiful comments. And thank you so much guys, and if you have any questions, just leave it in the comment box below. I'll answer to you as soon as I can, or Gary would come get back to you as soon as he can. And thank you. Have a good day, good night, good afternoon, wherever you
Yeah.
are.
Good night, everybody. See
Thank
you
you
in 2
all.
hours.
Yes, indeed.
Big
Okay.
love.